Hey, thanks for clicking on the video. This is going to be another episode of Reforge Gaming News, and today we're asking the question, are summons or summoning, is it too strong in Elden Ring? Elden Ring summoning is a huge part of the game's combat, and many people have said they sort of feel like they're cheating when they use the summoning. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Are you a big-time summoner, or are you trying to avoid it? If you want to be here for the live discussions, make sure and hit subscribe and the bell button so you don't miss them. I try to do this little segment right at the beginning, so if this is what you were looking for, I'll give you my brief thoughts and then we discuss it for a couple of hours. This is a Reforge update. Elden Ring summoning is a huge aspect of the game, but some people think it's so strong that they feel almost as if they are cheating when they use it. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Are you a big-time summoner? Do you avoid it at all costs? And also make sure and hit subscribe and the bell button so you don't miss these quick uploads. If you're unfamiliar with how Elden Ring works, there's even some bosses where you can summon actual NPCs who do a significant amount of damage to the boss. I touched on this in my video asking, is the game too easy? Now players are sort of starting to take up the idea that they don't want to summon. They feel like it's far too influential. Being able to distract the enemy with, aggro, you throw down Mr. Jellyfish, Jelly Boy Best Boy, by the way. If you're looking for a really good summonal spirit, that's a really good one. I've been using, just yesterday, I used the two skeleton guys that show up, and it really significantly helped me fight the boss. He got hugely distracted. I was able to break his posture 2 times after having a really hard time with him. So it really does feel like a bit of a fallback plan if you're struggling with a boss. And some people feel as though it's just too strong. It's really affecting gameplay to the point that some are just going to completely abstain from using a summon. And I really think if you think about the backstory here, we were warned that this would be the case to a certain degree by Miyazaki and a lot of the interviews leading up to Elden Ring release date, saying, listen, the game's going to be more approachable. If you're having trouble with a boss, you're going to be able to leave and spec out your character in a certain way and come back. And I really feel like the builds and the approaches to this game, I feel like it's sort of an organic difficulty setting. If you really want to take the time to spec your character, maybe even slightly over level or severely over level your character, it will make a huge difference in your experience in the game. It will certainly make bosses in certain areas way easier. Once I upgraded my sword and dumped a bunch of runes into my character, after I had been really exploring the map quite a bit, I went into an area that I was worried was going to be challenging, and I was just one-shotting basically every single enemy, which I think that's okay, because if you want to take a more linear approach to the game, maybe have a more traditional Souls experience, you don't have to do all that, and you certainly can avoid summoning. I actually understand why people say that summoning feels a little bit like cheating, because now I've had 2 boss fights where as soon as I lean on summoning, the whole boss fight changes for me. I beat Godric my 2nd try because I was like, oh, well, let's see what the NPC looks like. I wasn't even trying to beat him. I was like, let's just check him out here at the end of the day, end of the stream, summon the NPC to see what she was like, and she just rocked his world. I mean, we kept breaking his posture, and then this other fight that I did, it was like the Dragonkin something. He's like down underneath in one of the underworld areas. And he was really challenging, and he didn't even get to his lightning phase because we just kept breaking his posture, and I was obviously chunking him. My sword's pretty strong right now, but the summon changed the fight. It completely changed the flow of the fight for me, and that's happened twice now. So I actually understand and sort of sympathize and empathize with people who are like, I don't want to summon. It feels like cheating. It feels like I'm kind of putting in a cheat code. It's not necessarily something that some folks want to do. Now, does this take away from someone's completion? I have people in my chat that are kind of ribbing me and giving me grief about it. I think they're doing it mostly in jest, but is there a concern that this is going to cause elitism and sort of gatekeeping in the community, that you didn't really beat the game until you do a non-summon run. You didn't really beat that boss until you beat him completely on your own. So what do you think? Do you think summoning's too strong? Are you avoiding it? Do you think, man, it's in the game, I'm going to use it, I really want to win these fights? Let us know in the comments below. Be sure to hit subscribe and the bell button, and we'll see you in the next video. And we'll see the rest of you right now. Good morning, good afternoon, And good evening. What are your thoughts on summoning? We want to hear from you. Thanks so much for being here this morning. If you're watching the past broadcast or you're here live, don't forget all the great ways you can support this stream. These commands run in the corner that can be used in the live chat, but if you're watching the past broadcast, all those links are provided below. My shirt's always from 80s Tees. Use code LONO at 80stees.com to get 30% off. The disc plates, obviously, you get a great discount if you use my disc plate code. And then if you need some blue light blocking glasses or some really nice sunglasses, use my Gunner Optics affiliate link. And don't forget to order our coffee. And don't forget that the coffee is not a sponsor. So when we talk about this is something that we own. This is something my wife and kiddos ship to you. Those are all the various ways you can support, or you can do what Smiley just did, renewing your membership 3 months. Welcome back, Smiley. Feel free to hit that join button. You can leave a super thanks, super chat, or any of those other ways to support what we do directly. Make sure you're in live chat and you pressed that like button. First, the helmet in the video thumbnail is hilarious. You like that? I'm wearing that right now in the game. I got that in one of the lower areas. I got it out of a I got it out of a chest. Your composure as a streamer is amazing. What do you mean, composure? You mean like when I'm playing, or you mean when I'm just doing like a presentation like we started with? I want to ask you guys, let's get the poll going real early today. Let's get it going early. Elden Ring summoning. Do you, hang on. Do you use it or avoid it? All right. Yes, a lot. Yes, a little. Or no, not at all. So, Elden Ring summoning. Do you use it a lot? Do you use it a little? Or are you one of the people that are like, I'm not using it at all, dude. I don't want to do it. Just how you started to move into talking to chat and everything. Oh, I appreciate that. Yeah, we try to use the live environment to have conversations, but we want the very beginning of the stream to be valuable to anybody who clicks on it later, because generally speaking, if you don't catch the live stream, you're not going to want to go like poking around through the video to try to find like my thoughts. We put them right at the beginning. Couple of things, says BMAC. This is my first FromSoftware game, and I have an even greater respect for you after playing. Somehow I missed Reyna, so I don't have my summoning bell 12 hours in. Oh, man. Yeah, the summoning, it makes a huge difference, right? It makes an absolute, huge difference. You handle backseat gaming better than most streamers. I caught a stream last night that kept spamming hit the NPC, and it ruined the playthrough. Here's the thing about backseat gaming. You have to be gracious, but also firm with people. And I've tried to take that posture. You have to be like, listen, I appreciate the fact that you're trying to come in and you're trying to be helpful, but that's just really kind of hurting the vibe. It's hard to do that too with a larger audience, because then people just kind of spam and take over. The Gamer Squid with a $10 tip. I will not lie, summons in late game are extremely useful, because without them, I can get 2-shot with 2,000 health. The aggro grab from the summon is just enough to help. Yeah, I mean, it makes an enormous difference. I mean, if you guys watched that fight yesterday, that guy with the lightning, he had me tilted. And I was like, all right, let me summon my Skellyman. And my Skellyman just absolutely changed the flow of the fight. You know what I mean? It changed the entire flow of the fight. And I honestly thought, man, I don't know. I don't know if I like doing this. This feels like I'm cheating a little bit. Eugene says, you cheated not only the game, but yourself. You didn't grow. You didn't improve. You took a shortcut and gained nothing. You experienced a hollow victory. Nothing was risked, and nothing was gained. No way to easy mode. Play the game as the creators intended, but then you didn't really win the game if you played it naturally and used the available tools and techniques? Question? That is absolute clown shoes. Yeah, I don't agree with anybody who is attempting to take away from people's achievements, right? Like, Eugene obviously gives me guff and grief when I use Little Jellyman, because, the jellyfish is a huge, or in this case, I used the Skellyman when I fought the guy yesterday. No, I switched from the Skellyman to the jellyfish, and the jellyfish completely changed the fight, because I feel like the Skellyman died really, really quickly, and that poison damage was just chunking alongside of my sword, and so I resonated with the idea. I was like, I don't know how I feel about this. I don't know if I like that I can just be like, well, I'm just going to summon. Now, somebody said this morning, before the conversation started, RT Mayday was like, you can't summon all the time. So it's okay. It's not like you can do it in every single area, like here comes easy button. You know, it's certainly something that they limit in a good way. Guys, if you could give us our 100 likes super fast, we only have 74. We need those first 100 likes, so make sure you're smashing that like button. It makes a huge difference in how we perform. We got absolutely blessed by YouTube yesterday, and that's one of the reasons that happened. So make sure you're smashing the like button. Skeletons are my fave because they just keep getting back up. Yeah, I've heard that that's one of the reasons that people like them. Normally, I would agree with you, but when you fight the last boss and you get that Elden Lord achievement, let me know. He can be beat without the summon, but it makes it way easier. Yo, it's good, old soul. I use the jellyfish a lot. It doesn't break the fight or me. Fighting Godric, I was getting beat with jellyfish. Switched to Ash of War and my strat, and I beat Godric without jellyfish. Sometimes a summon, it will actually mess the fight up because it makes the boss unpredictable. Like, you'll go up to think like, oh, he's busy, I'm gonna boom, and then you get hit and you're like, oh, frick. Like, if it's just you and the boss, it sometimes is a little bit easier to read their animations and to understand, like, how to time things. It's a lot more difficult sometimes when the summoned, spirit or whatever is causing erratic behavior in the enemy. I had that experience with the bear. The bear was, like, absolutely wrecking me because I couldn't predict what he was doing. I was like, what is he doing? Like, I thought I'd be free and in the clear, and he'd turn around and smack my face. I'm like, come on. What's good, Feed? I see you in the chat. Let me be clear. I do not care how people play. I'm free to ignore the mechanic. I will never seek to gatekeep another's play style. Right. I can 100% anticipate a significant amount of people approaching Elden Ring summoning and being like, I'm not doing it. I don't want to do it. I don't want to have that help. And I think that that's going to be a pretty common approach. But then to go and to run to the forums or to run to Twitter or to take away from like a streamer or a YouTuber's achievement to be like, well, you summoned. I'm anticipating that being a thing. That's likely to be a growing sort of, campaign. I don't know what you'd call it. There'll be a party. There'll be like an Elden Ring political party that develops. It's like, we're anti-summoning. You shouldn't do it or whatever. I'm sure this will be a thing. I do feel like it breaks boss AI and takes away from the enjoyment of an otherwise good fight. Rock says, the beauty of Elden Ring is that if you don't like the summons or you think they are too easy, then you don't have to use them. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely, I think, an element to Elden Ring gameplay that enables the player to say, I'm going to completely ignore X, Y, and Z, and then that will dramatically affect your experience. It's not like in Dark Souls 3 where it's like, I didn't want to use the claymore, or I'd rather use this weapon. Now that certainly has an impact on my experience, but not to this degree. There are things you can do in this game, and I know people are going to say, well, there were things in Dark Souls 3 you could have done that would have made your playthrough a whole lot easier. There's busted magic builds, and Claymore is actually incredibly strong. There certainly are elements to that, but I think even more so in Elden Ring, it's like, dude, you can 100% soften this game's rough edges if you do it right. Gamer Squid says, so some bosses, if you summon it, will break you and the boss, not in a good way. It will randomly switch aggro and start to swing at your summon and then instantly turn around and attack you. Yeah, I had that experience with the bear, and it was so frustrating. I called it Spidey Sense AI. It's like, there was no reason for you to turn around and hit me right there. You didn't know I was coming. What do you have, eyes in the back of your head? Etienne Belanger, I'm probably not saying that correctly. Love your streams. I personally hate summons, even though I'm just after Margit. Also, my friend had a bug yesterday where enemies spawned twice, so there was a horde on a bridge where there wasn't. Thank you for the $14 tip, by the way. I know I'm not, I'm fairly certain that's a French name, and there's no way I'm saying it right. I'm going to ask if they summon or not. Okay, so you know me, says Eugene. I think the difficulty in these games are overstated. I also recognize that some people think that they've reached some pinnacle by beating these games. So when someone flexes about it, I'm going to ask if they summoned or not. Right, it's one thing to gatekeep, but it's another thing to check somebody's ego to be like, well, did you take the easiest route? Like, if you're going to ego and peacock about beating Elden Ring and you summoned the entire time, I don't think it takes away from your victory, but it certainly should deflate your ego a little bit to be like, well, you didn't really play the game on hard mode, did you? I mean, Again, I don't want to be hypocritical because I think gatekeeping is unnecessary, but if somebody's being a bit of an ego and a peacock about it, you could be like, well, did you summon the entire time? Did you constantly go into fights over-leveled? Because if you did, then, you should maybe shrink that ego a bit. There's choice for sure, says Russell, but I think there is something to be being provided limited resources by the game and doing your best with what you have. To force rules on yourself is not as fun, I'd say. There are people that are going to view it the exact opposite. They're going to say it's really unfun to summon. Like, they're not going to want to. They're going to be like, it's really unfun to summon. I don't want to do it. I don't want to have that advantage in the fights. That's generally, I think, that's a common feeling. Ain't deflating crap here. Well, you know what I'm saying, Mo. You know what Eugene is saying. Like, if you tried to act super big and cocky about beating Elden Ring, and somebody was like, well, were you over-leveled the whole time? Did you summon? Did you read these guides on how to make a busted build? Because if you did, then, congratulations, you beat the game, but, maybe dial back on the ego a bit. Maybe dial it back a bit if you did all of this, I love summoning, but at the same time, I kind of don't like summoning. Like I said, I did it yesterday in that fight, and I was like, I don't know. Like, I in the heat of the moment, I was like, well, he's got cheesy attacks, and so do I, right? He's got cheesy attacks, and so do I. We want to make sure and do our little spot here. If you're looking for an affordable microphone, we are currently promoting the Tonor microphone. It's like $40-something on Amazon. Use the Tonor command in chat, TONOR, or the link below. If you're looking for an affordable microphone, if you're commonly finding yourself on Zoom calls, Skype calls, and you want something that's got a nice stand that it comes with, pop filter. It even has the vibration holster or whatever they call those. I can never remember what those are called. But great little microphone. Listen, it's not going to sound like mine. It is not at a professional podcasting level, but this thing is going to get the job done if you're looking for an affordable microphone. So check out that link below. So, have you gotten to the third boss yet? I think we're setting our sights on her today. We're going to go through Lorania, and we're going to try to work our way to him. To her, I'm sorry. Any percentage, no summon runs, and any percent, anything goes runs. I don't know what you mean by that. What will happen is there will be two categories of people. One that can flex they beat the game without summons, and some that beat the game without it, along with speed runs. Oh, I get what you're saying. Right. Arch Enigma said something. The trailer that was playing showed summons as a one-time thing. They hit and then they disappeared. If summons were lower FP and disappeared after one hit, I think that would change the discussion. The problem with making them one hit is they wouldn't even be worth doing. Like, what would they do? Hit the enemy for like 100 damage and then disappear? That would be completely pointless. You might as well just hit them with a throwing knife and then go back to fighting. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think sometimes like maybe we overthink things. Like, I don't know why you would have a mechanic in the game if that's what you're going to do. I see nothing wrong with peacocking if you summoned a lot upon beating the game. It's a new system introduced in Elden Ring. The weapon arts were a new system in Dark Souls 2 or Dark Souls 3. Yeah, but to me, Gritter, I don't think becoming like egotistical and kind of like puffing your chest out after beating these games, I don't necessarily jive with. I just don't jive with that. Like, when I beat Dark Souls 3 or when I beat, Sekiro. Now, obviously, if someone comes in here is going to talk smack to me and be like, you're trash at these games, I'm like, bro, what are you talking about? I beat almost every boss in Sekiro in a very short amount of time. The only boss in Sekiro that gave me an extended amount of trouble was Ishin, and I beat him in 5 hours. Like, I clearly know what I'm doing in these games. Like, I'm not trash. Like, I'll push back against criticisms like that and say, listen, there's evidence that I'm actually quite good at these games, right? But that's different than being like, yo, man, I beat such and such. Look at me. Like, I just don't think it's a cause for arrogance. I don't think it's a cause for being prideful, I don't care if people use it at all. I really don't, because I'm using it. I'm like, look, it's in the game. I think they intended some of these fights to be so difficult that you either push yourself to beat it without it, or you're like, you know what? No, it's summon time, baby. It's summon time. Who cares? It's a mechanic in the game, says Sven. Use it or don't use it. Ignore the people who treat this game like some lifetime achievement. Right. I want to know what you guys think. So the poll at the top of the chat is off to a start right now. Elden Ring summoning. Do you use it or avoid it? We've got people saying yes a lot, yes a little, and then no, not at all is the lowest. Only 20% on no, not at all. So most people are saying yes a little, it's 41%, and then 39 say yes a lot. So that's pretty much a dead even tie. So it does sound like even amongst the people that use it, there's different camps, right? There are people that are like, well, I use it a little, and then there are people like, bro, I use it a lot. So it looks like even within the camp of people that use summoning, there are those that are like, I don't want to use it constantly. I'm going to use it more. I'm going to use it infrequently. So I do think it's a good discussion to have about a game like this. Why do people care how other people beat the game? Just do what you like. Well, sure. I think there's a difference between gatekeeping and what Eugene said, though. People that go, on like a fact-finding mission, when someone wears a Led Zeppelin shirt and they're like, can you name 7 Led Zeppelin songs? What's the hidden meaning, behind the song "In My Time of Dying"? You know what I'm saying? Like, and they try to gatekeep and act like, well, you're not a fan. So I don't think Eugene was being like, well, you didn't really beat the game if you summoned. I think he's being like, listen, I don't think these games are as hard as everybody makes them out to be. So if you're going to sit here and peacock about beating them, I'm going to ask you, did you summon? You know what I'm saying? With a slight smirk on his face. Like, I don't think he's being a jerk about it. Would like to know the cross-section of summoner versus non and experience with these games. Oh, for sure. Yeah. Like, are more experienced players doing summoning significantly less because they feel like it takes away from their achievement, right? What if I like the shirt? Well, because for me, like, I've only beaten 2 games, okay? I've beaten arguably what's supposed to be one of the hardest, Sekiro, and then also beat the one that's supposed to be one of the easier or more approachable ones, which is Dark Souls 3. And I didn't play a lot of the really hard bosses in Dark Souls 3. I didn't play Midir. I didn't play Nameless King, okay? And so I've kind of played both ends of the spectrum of FromSoftware games, and even I, in my sort of more limited experience, even I feel sort of like, man, that was kind of cheap the way that fight went. Like a boss just totally ignoring me, and then I'm just sitting there smacking the crap out of them while my skellymen do all the work for me. I resonate with the idea that, like, it quote-unquote feels like cheating to use summoning. That's not a moral judgment or an ethical judgment. That's like me judging your approach to the game because I'm literally doing it. I'm just saying I resonate with the idea that it kind of does take away from the achievement. I like the first boss way easier with the jellyfish than I did with the wolves. In the early time of Elden Ring, I think a lot of people are sleeping on the jellyfish. The jellyfish summon is unbelievably strong. He's a tank, and he gets great ongoing passive damage on the boss. He's excellent. I do like summoning to learn the move set, but when the boss's aggro switches, it throws me off. Now a boss with ads or overworked mobs, I have no shame. Yeah, Ashen, I said that yesterday. I was like, you know what? No, I feel totally justified in summoning on that guy because I felt like he had cheap attacks. I feel like not all attacks in FromSoftware games are equal. I will fight you on this, okay? Not all attacks are equal. Some attacks are cheap and a little, they're hitting a low. I feel like they hit a little bit below the belt, and then other attacks are more, I think, fair. I do. I think there's a spectrum of combat in FromSoftware games, and I think there are things that are very fair, and you can measure it, watch it, observe it, respond to it, and learn from it. I think there are other attack patterns and things in the game that are a little bit more cheap. I think some of the flurries that put you in a bit of a stun lock, I think those tend to be on the cheap end of the spectrum. I accept that the game has all types, okay? I expect all types. And so that's why I'm like, you know what? I'm summoning the Skellyman. Because screw you and screw your lightning. I don't know. I'm not taking it that serious. I know some people are going to be taking this very serious. They're like, I'm never summoning. It feels like cheating. I don't want to do it. Elden Ring summoning is overpowered, and it shouldn't be in the game. I'm sure there's plenty of people that think that. I think an easy fix would be having an achievement in-game that you only get when you beat the game without any summons for those braggers. I could see them putting that achievement in the game, Gale. I really, really could. You could call it something like, like the Lone Warrior or something. The Lone Warrior achievement is an achievement if you play the entire game and never summon an NPC, never summon a co-op partner, never summon a spirit, Unlock the Mimic, it feels like cheating. I've heard that the Mimic is very crazy. I don't think you can get it until after you beat Rodin, or however you say his name. I really struggle with his name. Radon or Rodin or whatever. I feel like it depends on the fight. Sometimes I use them if I'm about to die, and other fights I use them to have a better start. Oh, I totally hear you on that. Because sometimes you want to go in and really jumpstart Phase 1. And other times you're like, Phase 1's kind of a walk in the park, but Phase 2 gets a little crazy. So then you're going to summon to help split aggro. You don't like that it's in the game, Eugene. Are there other people like Eugene that don't like that it's in the game? An achievement that encourages no summoning, which I think they intend. I seen this guy on YouTube yesterday. He had a fully decked out mage, and he killed this huge dragon with one blast. The dragon could not even fight back. Yeah, right now people are over leveling to experiment with damage output, and there are people that are killing Margit in like 1 to 3 hits. Like, it's crazy. There was a guy that got so strong, he beat Godric so fast that Godric couldn't get to his second phase. So, how Godric gets his second phase and, goes crazy and, pulls his arm, he puts his arm in the dragon blood. He kills him so fast that he doesn't even get to that phase. And I didn't watch the video to see what happened. Because it's like, here's what happens if you skip Godric's second phase or something. By the way, if you're new and just tuning in, thank you so much for being here. We cover a variety of games here. Lots of Elden Ring coverage. Every Friday we dubbed From Friday. So even if we start to slow down in our Elden Ring coverage, you can always count on Friday to be dedicated to FromSoftware. We will be playing the game this afternoon and setting our sights on the third demigod, working our way through Lorania, kind of exploring, and then maybe heading to her near the end. So if you've never been here before, subscribing is free. Hit that subscribe button and smash the like button. It'd be amazing if we could quickly get 200 likes. We only need about 60 more likes, which should be easy with 350 people here. So thank you for another strong turnout. Greatly appreciate seeing so many of you here. You're about to help me hit another sub milestone of 13,000 subs. So thank you for that. Veter says, I do. So Veter agrees with Eugene. Lono, I'm coming at this logically, says Arch Enigma. Bosses in this game were clearly not coded well for multiple targets. Animation smoothness goes down the drain, and entire phases of fights do not happen. So you think that the summoning is creating a short-circuiting effect on the game, Arch? That's what you think? You can over-level and build into stuff like that, says Distorted, but the organic flow of the game is not like that. You have to be trying to do stuff like that. But either way, I think it's dope that you can enjoy those types of classes in this game, unlike others. Yeah, Distorted, I agree. We need to be clear. The people that are over-leveling and killing bosses extremely quickly, that's not normal. They are specifically going out of their way to do that. So the average person's not going to do that. Even if you over-level and take the time to clear the map, you are not killing Margit in 3 hits or Godric before he gets to second phase. It's incredibly unlikely that you'll be doing that. The double summon 100% breaks encounters, says Eugene. Would you say that a phase being skipped is how From intended the fights to go, only talking about when phases are skipped due to summons, not over leveling? I don't know if it's as simple as that. I don't think you can just skip an entire phase by doing a summon. I don't think it's that simple. Because when I beat Godric my second time, we were whooping the tar out of him, and he still got to his second phase. You're not draining his health bar that quickly. It's incredibly unlikely that you're going to be able to do that. It's really, really unlikely. Jeffrey says, I use summons as I am a faith class, not high on the HP and armor, so the summon takes the aggro off me for a short time. I do think that's another element to this, that certain builds really, really require that need of like, man, I need somebody to split the aggro here. I'm not gonna make it, right? Derek says, what? The best game ever has flaws? Impossible. Enigma says, I think it can have many flaws and still be one of the best games I've ever played. I haven't been saying this game has no issues, but I do have a passion for it. Yeah, I think this game is pure excellence, even though it has issues. I criticize it all day when I'm playing. Ronan says, I don't like summons, so I just don't use... Oh, you're saying, yup, don't like summons, just don't use them. That's your logic. Yeah, I think a lot of people are taking that stance. Like, if you don't like them, don't use them. Matthew says, people nowadays always find something to complain about. If you don't like something in the game, don't use it. Dave says, you could cheese Skyrim with OP builds too. It's that type of freedom that will keep people playing the game for years. I agree with that. I think the freedom for people to experiment and do these fun builds and things, I actually think it's very, very good for the game. I do. So if you're tuning in, we're talking Elden Ring summoning. Is it too overpowered? When you dive in and your experience, as my experience with Elden Ring gameplay, I feel it does take a little bit away from the fights, but I am using it. I think I can say both things. That, like, listen, it is making some of the fights a little easy clap. It really changes the fight, but I'm using it. Because I do think there are times where I'm like, you know what? This fight's annoying me. I feel like that attack's cheap, so it's time for me to be a little cheap. I'm going to pull out Jelly Boy, you know? I think it's fine to have summons as is, says Nicholas. If someone is having trouble with a boss, it gives them a tank or DPS without needing to summon another player. Distorted. Even the every issue this game has had or will have, it is my favorite game of all time, and well deserving of way beyond high praise. This is the passion devs should strive to show in their creations. Yeah, other than the performance stuff has just been such a bummer. I want one of those fire giant guys as a summon. Yeah, I want to be able to summon a troll. Can I get that summon somewhere? Just let him storm a castle for me. Nervous Jay says, the summoning is just a small part of a slightly bigger gripe. Namely, int and dex are super overrepresented in gear, items, and spells. Nervous, I've not heard this criticism. Is this a growing criticism in the community that in the gear, there's an overrepresentation of intelligence, dexterity, and Is that an actual complaint that people are lodging? Derek says, if a player puts the time in to make a character super powerful and thus can steamroll through some enemies and bosses, that's not bad. If you worked hard, but then the boss was just as hard, that would suck. I think I agree with that. I think there has to be a spectrum of trust where if I invest the time to really, really throw myself at a build, I need to be rewarded for that. Right? I need to be rewarded for that. There needs to be a spectrum of risk-reward, investment, and power. And you're not going to have that if players feel like, well, I spent a bunch of time over-leveling, or not over-leveling, but making myself incredibly strong, and it didn't really change the feeling in the fight. Right? I've heard that dexterity is overpowered because of the bleed katanas. Any boss that can bleed can die before their second phase because of it. Oh, I hear ya. After you clear all content, you will be overleveled, says TikTok. I found most of the main bosses a joke after I cleared the optional areas. Not all builds should be good. Some builds should suck. In what regard, though? In what regard? Do you think, when you say some builds should suck, I think what you mean is some builds should be inferior because of the nature of them? Is that what you mean? I think the game needs scaling, says Eugene. Jeffrey says, I see a ton of int gear as well as far more sorcery spells and incantations. Yeah, it's almost like they're pushing you toward it, right? I saw something from somebody I wanted to read. Nervous J says, it's more just a criticism from me. You can count the number of pure faith or faith strength weapons on one hand. There's like 15 decks or decks in. Are you saying that with full knowledge or just from your experience? Like, have they tallied? This seems a little early for this, but have people tallied and created a weapons database? And are you basing your criticism on an actual full representation database or just your experience? That's my question. Bleed builds are insane, says someone. Opposite for me, says Triss. I'm always short on strength for weapons. Risic with a 10 spot. In today's game, everyone will find a way to break the game or be way too overpowerful for the bosses. Risic, thank you for the $10 tip. If you guys want to support the channel directly, you can hit the $ at the bottom of chat or click the join button. We would love to see members increase. Those are the green names in chat with a badge, and they get emotes, and it does support me directly. It's totally free to subscribe, so smack the subscribe button and that like button. That helps me and the video, and that's totally free. I'm a safe for work broadcaster. I'm here Monday through Friday putting on a show like this, so you can subscribe in confidence. A lot of people treat me like video game radio throughout the week. I have the Mimic Summon plus 10, and it's a joke. My summon can beat a boss without me, so I avoid using it. Yeah, I've heard that the Mimic Summon is kind of busted. I've heard that. Nervous J says, I can't say the total. There may be more. I've killed 4 Elden Lords, and I'm looking for stuff to do expanded things. I just have around 4 dozen weapons or so, and I'm doing that. Okay, so you've gotten some... You've gotten some stuff. You've gotten some gear, and you're noticing a trend. That could be a trend. Maybe they're really trying to push people toward, magic and spells. I mean, maybe they're trying to do that a little bit more than they did in the past. I know for a fact I got really grumpy yesterday. I did. When I went into that one place, and people were like, well, you need to do all these different things to guard against magic. I'm like, what the frick? Why? And we're going to try and do that today. We're going to see if we can't really get some good magic defense, because I don't really have any. The Mimic Summon won't solo any real boss, maybe dungeon bosses, but with spells they are strong. They have infinite FP. Really? Poison Jellyfish is my homie. Dude, Jelly Boy's best boy. No question. Dying all over the castle right now. Really impressed how far you guys have made it. I want a cross-section of people who hate participation trophies and use their summons. But it's not a participation trophy, though. It's not. Yeah, that's bait. It's not. Eugene is being ornery. It's not. It still is a really hard game. Like, let's be honest. Even if you take the time to overlevel, even if you really lean on summons, this game doesn't become an easy game. It's easier. But as I said before, that's like saying, well, if you use XYZ equipment to climb this mountain, it's easier. But that doesn't mean it's easy to climb a mountain, right? Like, you can make it easier on yourself to scale the side of a mountainous wall, for sure. You can make it easier on yourself. That doesn't mean it's easy, you know? It's not like if you climbed Mount Everest, people would be like, oh, dude, that was probably pretty easy, right? You used all that great equipment. You used that oxygen injection system to make sure you had higher oxygen levels at higher altitudes, and it kept your stamina and your strength up. Yeah, that was pretty easy, wasn't it? No. You would say it's easier than the people who did it in the past with way less equipment or inferior equipment. With, plenty of people die on Mount Everest, but you would never conclude and say, well, it must have been easy to climb Mount Everest. So even if you soften the edges of Elden Ring, even if you make Elden Ring gameplay easier on yourself, no one can conclude that the game is easy. I do not buy into that. I don't. What's max level? It's in like the 700s, isn't it? This is how you deliver an easy mode without undermining the core of the game, says Fletch. People who want a hardcore experience can always opt out. Yeah, I called it in the beginning of today's stream, and I'm kind of borrowing from my producer a little bit. I call it an organic difficulty setting, right? I call it an organic difficulty setting. It's if you want to take it and make it tough on yourself, it's up to you. It's how you play the game. It's how you navigate all the areas. If you want to make it a lot smoother, you can. It's totally organic, totally up to the player, determined by how you play and how you spec. In RPGs, I always gravitate to magic users. One of the reasons I've not been attracted to Souls games is its melee focus is not for me. Maybe I'll enjoy this one as it's more my style. Magic builds in this game are crazy. They are. You'll have some challenges early on, but magic builds in Elden Ring are nuts. You move on and rinse repeat, but this game is different kind because of the open world. Here's what's crazy. I'm trying to clear the map. So if you guys have watched any of my Elden Ring gameplay, I'm like trying to clear the map, and I leave an area thinking, I combed over it, man. Combed over with a fine-tooth comb. We ain't found, like, I've combed over it, and people are like, yeah, you missed stuff. I'm like, how? How? How did I miss anything? I slowly went along like every wall looking for an opening. I went into the ruins, and I looked for holes in the ground. How did I miss anything? Right? I mean, it's crazy how full the open world is. You've still missed up? I know, Mo. I'm telling you, it's nuts. It's actually nuts. Like, I'm pulling up the map a lot. A mini map would have been super helpful. I'm pulling up the map constantly. I'm like, did I check there? Did I check there? What about over there? And I'm like, if I find like a mountain wall, I just go along the mountain wall until I can't anymore. Like, there's got to be an opening here somewhere. There's got to be a cave or a door. I clean the map first, and then I move to the next area. You missed a whole area in Limgrave? You lied. No, I didn't. Did I really? I'm telling you, I did. And you killed Patches? I did kill Patches. Chat was so angry. You know why I did it? I'm going to tell you why I did it. Number one, I wanted to. Because frick that guy. Number two, I knew chat would be upset. I totally did it. I totally did it to trigger chat. Because I knew everybody's going to be like, no, don't kill him. Don't kill him. Don't kill him, Lono. And I was like, no, we're killing him, bro. We're killing him. If you're just tuning in, we are discussing Elden Ring summoning. Is it too strong? I want to hear from you. Make sure and subscribe so you can talk in my chat. Take the poll at the top of the chat. Are you using summoning? We have yes a little, yes a lot, and no not at all as options. I'm using it a little. I'm leaning towards a lot because I'm getting annoyed by some bosses, and I just decide to summon. I'm like, screw you, buddy, and then I decide to summon. 20% of the people that took the poll have said not at all. There are people that say it feels a little bit like cheating. They feel like it really kind of takes away from the fight. What do you think? You're a monster. How do you kill everyone's best friend, Patches? The Patches moment was perfect. Yeah, he's like, you don't have to kill me. People in chat were like, you didn't have to kill him, Lono. I was like, I don't care. I wanted to. I knew it would trigger chat. Sometimes you got to trigger chat, you know? Sometimes you got to. Comfy Wizard says, beating bosses in video games has always been used as bragging rights. Dark Souls takes this to the extreme. Oh, it does. Oh, it certainly does. Have you fought Beastman in Limgrave? I don't think so. No. Some late game bosses are really hard without summons because weapon arts are high damage but are slow and the bosses are fast. Right, and the summons is going to give you those opportunities to open things up. Like, that was one of the things I said about Horizon Forbidden West, is that the enemy's attack frequencies and spammy nature, it made it hard to find those big moments, and it was kind of irritating. I thought it was faking, and he continued attacking. I like that. That makes me happy that you were watching and you're like, oh, he's faking. He's totally faking. He's faking, guys, right? Guys, is he not? Is he faking? He's not faking. Here it is. People who don't use summons, people who use magic summons and the boulder. That's it. I'm tweeting. I am 100% tweeting that, bro. Perfect meme. That's it. Perfect meme, dude. People who use magic, summons, and the boulder. I like how you included the boulder. Oh, that's everything. That's everything. The frickin' boulder, bro. Hey, thanks for 200 likes on the video. You guys are the absolute best. Thanks for taking the poll as well. People who complain about people using summons shouldn't use armor or weapons either. It's all assisting you to best enemies. Isaac, I appreciate your logic. I do. I actually appreciate that. I think that's a good viewpoint on it. I actually respect that viewpoint. Like, look, man, it's in the game. Everything helps you. What, are you going to not level up your weapon because it gives you more damage and you can kill the boss faster? Are you not going to level up your shield? Are you not going to use weapon arts? Are you not going to use guard counter? Guard counter feels busted. There's a guy who left a comment last night and he said, sometimes I feel like this game is too easy, and then I stop using my shield and I realize that guard counter is busted. And I'm like, no, I don't think so. It's really strong. Especially if you use the shield barricade weapon art on it. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. You're able to do like sometimes 2 and 3 guard counters back to back on the right enemies, just busting their posture. I love it. I love it. I love the sound of guard counter. It's amazing. It's truly amazing. Guys, make sure and take the poll at the top of the chat. Elden Ring summoning, do you use it or avoid it? We have almost 500 votes already. Most people are saying yes a little, and then a very close second place says yes a lot. So even in the camp of people that are using summons, there are people who use it a lot and people who use it a little. It's sort of a blend. It's sort of a blend. And then about 19, let's just say 20%. 20% of the people that have taken the poll are like, no, I don't use it at all. I do not use it at all. And I actually can understand why people wouldn't use it. I 100% can. I 100% can, because I've done it a couple of times now, and it's completely and utterly changed the way that fights go. And it really makes me feel kind of weird sometimes. I'm like, God, did I actually beat that, you know? I think it's because I just came off of Sekiro. And I approached Sekiro so many times, no prosthetic, no shinobi arts, nothing, just my sword. And some of that's because I'm stubborn, and some of that's because it just feels better. It just feels better. I always try to beat the boss without summons first. If I do good damage and not one-shotted, I don't summon at all. I co-op play, and you can't use summons, so I don't use them, says Justin. What's kind of the same. Honestly, co-op playing on the bosses is probably even easier than using a summons, because your summons are kind of stupid. They'll just kind of stand there and get murdered, and a live player will run away and heal. You know, you can only have one chance to experience that fight for the first time. I get that. I think that's why my approach up to now has really been to, I hold off on the summoning. I take a first crack, and I want to kind of see how it goes, and then if I decide I want to go, in and not summon or continue to summon. Yeah, I kind of try to do both. It's a false dichotomy to say you either have to use every tool or none of them. It's perfectly fine to be choosy on what you use. I don't think he was saying, I don't think his logic was applying. I mean, I know that's how he phrased it. If you're not going to use summons, then don't use armor, don't use weapons. I think more or less the logic is really well applied when you push back on the criticism. Oh, well, summoning, you're not really beating the boss. Okay, well then, don't use anything else in the game then, or else you're not really beating the boss. Beat the boss, naked with a stick. I have found helping my friends that the bosses have more health. Yeah, they do. Co-op bosses get a bit more harder. Yeah, that's true, I guess, to compensate. That's true. And that's why. That's why they do that, because it would. I mean, if they didn't do anything to the boss, it would make every boss fight significantly easier to just bring your friend in, because your friend is way smarter than the jellyfish or the NPC, because the NPC just stands there and lets himself get murdered and doesn't heal. Summoning a co-op player, they come with way less flasks. I was playing with my bro, who is a mage. Originally, he has 5 FP flasks. I summon him, and he only has 2. Yeah, because, listen, if you could bring somebody in your world full power, I mean, it would be absolutely insane, right? It would be insane that it would make the fights kind of ridiculous, you know? It would make the fights kind of ridiculous. I mean, it wouldn't even, a lot of them you could argue, that's not even difficult. You bring in somebody else full power, how much healing you would have. I mean, you could extend so many of the phases to just be super easy. People are going to use the weapons they like. Sometimes the most enjoyable weapons, at least for me, aren't actually the strongest in pure DPS. But if I have a BFG, I'm going to use it sometimes. Yeah, it's interesting because, like, when I would play a game like that, like Doom or something, I didn't like using the really, really big strong weapons because I would get ammo paralysis. It's like, well, if I spend the ammo, I won't have it because they limit your ammo significantly, typically on the really strong guns. So I just wouldn't use them. Now, playing these games, I'm a lot more liberal with my use of power. I'm like, okay, I'm going to use this thing until it's empty. So I'll use my shield barricade until I'm out of FP, instead of being like, well, I better save. Well, no, you have 1 flask allocated to it, so drain it. Drain it and use as much as you possibly can. Does everyone use the physic flask on every boss like I do? I mean, I might start using it on every boss if it does something specific that, will particularly help. I've got mine set to heal and then heal over time. So, like, it's a great, like, panic card if I'm out of regular flasks. I'd be fine with them removing the double. You get your jelly or the NPC and that's it. Yeah, but there's so many other summons. Like, I've got a Skellyman by himself with like a spear, and then I've got 2 little Skellymen, I think, with swords, and then you got the wolves. I don't know. I think it's okay to have a lot of different summons. Like, if you're not using Elden Ring summoning, then that's fine. I don't think you have to, but I definitely don't think they should start taking certain elements out. I don't think that would be a good decision either. The jelly type summons seem like they require no building or sacrifices within your kit. They just give you this powerful thing. Yeah, you don't have to do much, and if you want to level it up, you got to spend souls and currency, and you got to be going into the dungeons to get the currency. So I use spirit summons and NPC summons every time I can. Got to make progress at some point. Right, yeah, I totally endorse that, man. Do it. Do whatever gets you through the game and makes you and allows you to have fun. The flask is a bubble for me. At this point, I get 1 shot without it. I try different summons just to see what they do. There's a frail old mage you can summon too, but he just stands there. What, is he, like a punching dummy? Just a punching dummy, I would imagine. They drain your whole FP bar. How do they have no cost? Summoning doesn't drain the whole FP bar. It doesn't drain mine. How much does it take? I have a feeling we will get to the end game and realize summons are necessary for some fights. Maybe. I don't think necessary is the right word, though. There's plenty of people that are going to get through this game without summons. You can write that one down. The whole saving all the powerful stuff for later just means I don't use it, so I force myself to try and be more liberal in using the biggest weapons or items in games in general. Yes, currency or like ammunition paralysis is like a real thing in games. Like, you just like, I might need it, and then you're like, I beat the game and never did, and I never used it. Like, that was dumb. 64 total summons, just take a lot of FP, mainly the special ones. Really crazy summons use a ton of your FP or HP, so you can't even summon if you don't put points in mind. Right. So I might want to start investing in that because I really do like my summons. It's what fits you. I'm a diehard FromSoftware gamer, and I like the extra challenge. You have to play in a way that allows you to enjoy the game. I agree with that hard mode. I do. That's kind of like what I just said a moment ago. Like, play in a way that makes the game enjoyable for you. The Mimic summon uses 660 HP. Oh, that's a lot. So there is a significant there is a significant cost. I use the Mimic Summon. I get to summon a clone of myself that uses my spells and weapon arts. It can solo bosses. Yeah, Khalib, somebody said this morning that it was soloing bosses for them. Was it you or somebody else? If you guys are new and just tuning in, make sure to be smashing that like button and the subscribe button. We are discussing Elden Ring summoning. Do you think it's too strong? Is it too overpowered? Take the poll at the top of the chat. Like, where do you land on it? Are you using it or are you not using it? We, so many new subs today. Holy moly. We hit 13,000 subs on the channel. Thank you for another big milestone. Seriously. I swear we just hit 10K. I said earlier that I let it fight bosses and was wrecking them. Really? That's crazy. That is so crazy. There are some that I have that takes around 130 FP to use, and some take HP as well. Yeah, I could see the ones taking HP being a bit of a problem, but you know, you summon them and then drink, you know. With FromSoftware raising the bar so much with Elden Ring, can you only imagine how amazing the next one would be? I don't know. I don't know how soon that'll be. Definitely subscribing, dude. You're awesome. Thank you. If you've never been here before, this is what we do Monday through Friday. We do a talk show in the morning, and sometimes we do a second talk show, or we do gameplay for the second stream. So we do 2 streams a day here. I am safe for work, so you can subscribe in confidence. A lot of people treat me like video game radio, so we cover a whole host of topics. This entire week has been Elden Ring, understandably. I'm sure next week we'll probably start shaking it up again with other topics while we continue to play through Elden Ring in the afternoons. And we also have our bigger channel that we recently turned into Reforge Radio. This is Reforge Gaming. We turned our bigger channel into Reforge Radio. And yesterday we talked about some controversy with the PC company. The day before that we talked about Joe Rogan. And today we'll be talking about Kanye's new video and did he go too far? If you haven't seen it yet, we'll be discussing that over on Reforge Radio this afternoon. So we do have a channel a little bit more dedicated to non-gaming, more serious cultural things. So make sure you're subbed there if you like that kind of content as well. That's in the afternoon around 3 o'clock Eastern. I don't think it's overpowered, says Chris, especially early game where they all die really quickly. But if it wasn't for them, there's some bosses I wouldn't have been able to beat. They've helped me a lot. Miyazaki said that more people would beat this game than any other FromSoftware game, and I think that's one of the reasons. They've given you a lot of freedom in your build, and they've given you a potential significant amount of power at your disposal. It's weird how their games have never been that big of sellers, and now they're really popular. I wonder if it's because they won a Game of the Year before now. Sebastian, it's actually interesting. If you go and look at the Dark Souls franchise, it's actually one of the top selling. It's in top 20, I think. It actually is one of the more successful franchises, and people don't realize that. They think it's like a niche game. They think it's, because of the difficulty, they think, well, surely that's not a super popular game. It actually is incredibly popular. If you just look at the Dark Souls games, once you include Bloodborne and Sekiro, they jump even higher on the list. As far as commercial success and sales, the Souls games have done very well. As soon as you include Sekiro and Bloodborne, it goes even higher. Yes, Elden Ring has New Game Plus. It functions the same way as it did in previous games. I always heard they averaged around 5 million in sales. When you add them all up, they're up there with games like Gears of War and other very successful franchises. We pulled up the list once and totally dispelled the notion that these games are niche. They're actually not. I think some of it is they might not be as popular in the West. They may be a little bit more popular in Asian cultures and countries, because of the where FromSoftware is from, and certain styles of game do better in the Asian markets when compared to the Western market. So HP summons, never found one that does that. I think I've got like 20 of them. Well, it sounds like you've got about half of them. On Reforge Radio, will you talk about PS and Xbox trying to stop Russians from playing their games? We may get into that next week, Omega, because everybody's doing it. The game companies are doing it. Every platform's doing it. I'm like, I want to ask the question if this is right, if this is the right call, and we might talk about that next week. FromSoftware successfully created a subgenre of games that other companies use as inspiration to make similar games. Soulsborne and Souls-like subgenre. Yeah. If a game is Souls-like or Soulsborne. Dark Souls pretty big here in Europe too, says Aaron. That's cool. And Bloodborne was free on PlayStation Plus before it wasn't, and I wouldn't think that would make their game more popular. The reports we were looking at were purely based on sales. Just curious, for anyone who has started with Samurai, does the starting katana come with bleed? And someone has answered, yes, it comes with bleed. Someone says, yes, it does. So, yeah, I've heard bleed is really, really strong in this game. Very, very strong. I'm doing a Vagabond, and I haven't changed my sword yet. I've really invested a lot in it. And then I got what did I get yesterday? The Bloodhound sword. Once I'm strong enough, I might start using that one. Because getting that bleed might be really helpful. To my current build, I used summons as often as I could until the summons I had all died in 1 or 2 hits. Haven't found any better ones yet. Okay, so Ark, no spoilers, but there are ways to make them stronger. Have you unlocked there's a person that can make them stronger? Same way that you like fortify your weapons and your shield. You don't, if you're just using them out of the box, yeah, eventually they're gonna be crap. I'm curious to all the people that bought this as your first FromSoftware game, would you still have bought it if it was named Dark Souls 4 instead? Yeah, that's a good question, Quiet Shy Girl. Like, did they open up the accessibility to the game by saying, hey, it's called Elden Ring, it's not another Dark Souls? Like, the game, just the name Dark Souls might have kept people out, for sure. Because what's interesting is, they could have literally called it Dark Souls 4 and had the exact same characters and story. Do you know what I'm saying? And just called them, bonfires, and called them souls instead of runes. Like, do you get it? Like, I don't know. I don't think it necessarily needed to be called something else, but maybe there was a bit of a marketing strategy of like, listen, this is going to be such a big departure from Dark Souls, in some ways, as far as accessibility and completion. We're going to see more people, be able to beat it and enjoy it. So maybe we should call it something else. So that way it's more, there's less stigma. There's less of a mental hurdle for some players with respect to playing the game. Because I do commonly think that, like, people see that Dark Souls name and they probably immediately think, no, I'm not playing that, bro. I've heard about those games, right? I tried one of those games. That certainly could have been a pretty significant stigma, excuse me, keeping people out. You also have George R.R. Martin's name attached to it. Yeah. And that's a significant pull. For sure, that's a very, very big pull for the game to have his name on the docket, to have his name on the story and the lore. Elden Ring feels and looks different than Dark Souls to me. It's a lot the same, but still also a lot different. Yeah, I agree with that. No one really talks about what George R.R. Martin contributed. He basically helped with the world building. He didn't write the story. He didn't write the narrative, but he helped with the world building, and I guess that means probably the lore. I was dual wielding greatswords for a while, but losing the ability to block is too big of a negative for me. Exactly, Lono says, Quiet Shy Girl, the name helps sell this game. Oh, I think so. Hey, first new member of the day. Thank you, Ramza, for becoming a paying member. Welcome to Reforge Gaming. Enjoy the dope badge and emotes. You are dope and deserve dope stuff. If you guys want to become a paying member, it starts at $5 a month. It does support me directly. You get a badge in chat. You can use emotes in chat. And if you like to use Discord servers, you get increased access in our Discord server when you become a member. So thank you for that. I used your link to buy disc plates, and they've just arrived today. When did you use my link, Techno? When? Like, how recently? I'm curious about that. Could still guard counter with a great sword. Could I still guard counter with a great sword? I don't think so. I think you have to be using a shield, I think. What the world? Where's the other email? No. Oh. I didn't delete it. Would I have? That doesn't make any sense. Sorry, I was trying to find an email from somebody. Yeah, nope. You can ask. Place the order on the 19th last month. Okay. And did you get the discount, Techno, on your order? Because I didn't get credit for that one. You can guard counter with any weapon. You just have to block. Jumping is an amazing tactic to avoid damage. Man, you got the discount. Okay. Yeah. Great. Because I was told it wasn't being used enough, and I'm like, yeah, I've had numerous people use it, and I don't get credit. Like, what the frick? That's not my fault. Didn't even consider that. Yeah, I can't get consistency out of jumping in Elden Ring. I can't. I know there's some iframes in jumping, but like every time I've tried to use it, I'm like, I can't figure it out. Like rolling and blocking is just so much more consistent for me. Even if you're two-handing, you can block and still do guard counter. Oh, you can do guard counter even if you're two-handing. Oh, really? I didn't know that. You can guard counter with any weapon. You just have to block. Okay. Sorry, I was incorrect. I thought it was only something you could do with a shield. Okay, well, as long as you successfully block, then you can take advantage of one of the stronger things in the game. Guard counter is kind of busted in a good way. The iframe from jumping is when you hit R2 and the sword hits the floor. That's the iframe. So you have to do an attack to get the iframe? Because I noticed that. I felt like when I attacked, I got more consistency. I thought it was just because it added like a slight millisecond of air time. Like it just kept me in the air a little bit longer. At least it feels like it does. I never tried it without a shield. Jumping is good for traversing the world in terrain. I'm glad we have a jump button now. I do like that we have a jump button. I do. I don't like platforming in this game at all. I hate it. I always fall. I do not like platforming. Like, it's nice because when you're trying to get through certain areas or get up on something, it is definitely helpful. Like, I'm very, very pleased that they put jumping. But man, oh man, do I hate platforming in this game. I feel like I always fall. Like, I have no forward momentum. I'm like, boop, and then down I go. And they always set up, like mount areas with your mount. They always set it up to where you're going to over jump. It's so irritating. Jumping is invincible right when you press jump. Then you low profile after the attack to avoid most hits. I use jumping in combat regularly. Jumping is only useful if you have enough poise to barrel through an attack. Outside of that, it's best to just roll and use guard to break stagger. They say you can change the direction of the second jump with the horse. You can, and that helps sometimes. It does. It helps sometimes. My hands shake every time I have to walk on beams. I believe jumping is iframes on press and then hitbox dodge. Yeah, I don't like it. You gotta run and jump, but it definitely gets janky. Yeah, it does. It does. You can use rainbow pebbles to test fall damage. Torrent saved my life so much, using the double jump to get back to an edge when I was too careless and didn't look where I was going. Yeah, I've done that a couple of times. I have clearly like misjudged the edge of a ledge and then had to jump back. That has happened numerous times. on some of the open world browsing that I've been like. When I'm trying to do like open world exploring, you know, like the Elden Ring map is really fun to explore, but sometimes you're not paying attention. You're like, whoop, and you like almost go off the edge. I feel like when you need to platform to an item, it's like a puzzle, and I enjoy and I feel like a winner when I get to the item. Yes and no. I just don't like it. I don't like the platforming. It feels loose. It feels loosey-goosey, like I'm slip-sliding around. 5 months of membership from William. 5 months deeps. Let's get it. Also, I never saw why the rebrand. I love it. Just curious because I may have missed the announcement. That moniker and that name just doesn't really exist anymore. We were no longer covering Destiny, and SNTR Presents was basically a Destiny podcast. So when we dropped that name on the bigger channel, I was like, why are we holding on to those letters? Those letters don't mean anything anymore because we're not really doing anything with that brand. We're not doing anything with that game. So I wanted a meaningful name, and everything I've been through professionally, personally, and spiritually, I was like, Reforge really encapsulates like being made new, like making something new, and it being very hard and trying. And we had to do that, you know, professionally. I had to go through things personally like that as well as spiritually, and I thought Reforge a dope name, and that's everything is under that moniker now. Reforge Updates, Reforge Radio, Reforge First Look. So we have 4 channels, and we're very pleased with just how versatile and how good the name is. Like it's good. It's got a great sound to it. If you have rainbow stones, you can drop them off an edge, and if they don't shatter, then it's safe to jump off. If anyone did not know. Yeah, I wasn't aware that was a thing you could do. You like it as a name? Thank you, Gritter. Don't forget to level up your dex. It helps you cast your spells faster. I need to put a point into dexterity, I think today, so I can try out that new sword. I think I only need 1 point, and I can try it out. That is definitely something that I'm going to be looking into. I think it's time to start like investing in another sword for sure. Heard about that yesterday. We probably watched the same video. Will the coffee name change too? Right now, we're not doing anything with that, Gritter, but I can't make any promises because we do like having everything under one name. But right now, no. We've got plenty of the coffee labels and bags, so we're not doing anything with the coffee right now. Even if we decide to make a cosmetic change there, it would be the exact same product. So you guys don't need to worry. If you love dark roast, light roast, Frickmas Blend will be back this holiday season. You don't have to worry about that. When are you playing today? I will be playing in about 30 to 40 minutes. We've been shortening the morning show just so I have more time to play the game. If you try it, you will never change it. Oh, that sword. It's the Bloodhound sword. Is that what it's called? Make sure you're upgrading the Bloodhound's Fang, Lono. You will need those upgrades as far into the game as you've gotten. Also remember, it's a great sword, so slower. Oh, I know. I love the way the game looks with the art direction. It feels like you're walking around in a weird dream. Yeah. Saw the video on Patch's spear, and it looks pretty dope. Yeah, I killed Patches. I killed him. I'll surely be playing after work in about an hour and a half. Nice. Watching you right now, playing Elden Ring, grinding for an armor set. There you go. Great sword, dual-wielding warrior. Let me get my rainbow pebbles out, because I may hurt my ankles. Yeah. I am the warrior from the east, come to fell you. Well, jump down here and fight me. Hang on a moment. I've got to get out a rainbow pebble to make sure I don't hurt myself. There's so many fun little skits you could do about some of the stuff in this game. I have traveled far and wide to put an end to you. Oh, yeah? All right, let's get fighting. Okay, wait. All right, jellyfish. Come on, jelly boy. Let's get to work. You need a no-skill shield to utilize it properly or two-hand it. Much love to you, Lono. Love the content. Yo, thank you, Troy. Thank you for the $5 tip. If you want to invest in it, try and find the vendor item that lets you buy smithing stones. It's in the lake area. Lernia of Lakes is where we got to explore today, because we want to head to that next boss. I accidentally killed Patches. He stopped mid-fight, but I was already mid-swing and there was nothing I could do. You did that much damage? Because he stops at like half health. Well, yeah, you know, how many times did you keep swinging? He stops the fight like his health bar is about half empty. You know, you're like, yeah, I don't know what happened. I just kept swinging. You know, I saw red. I just saw red, bro. I just kept going. I plan on playing Elden Ring on the Steam Deck. Hope it comes to Game Pass. Want to play, because I want to play, but I don't know if I like it. I never played a Dark Souls game. Yeah, it's definitely a big risk to just suddenly get into a game like this. Like, it is. It's a risk, because you may absolutely hate it, you know? You may absolutely hate it, for sure. Yo, good morning, Kill You. Bloodhound's Fang has a ton of stun, has bleed, has a very strong weapon art, and it's a curved greatsword. So, bigger hitbox and roll casting. What's a good entry point for Dark Souls games? Either Bloodborne or Dark Souls 3. Those are the two that are usually recommended. Honestly, Elden Ring. The best game to get into the Souls franchise right now is Elden Ring. Seriously. You know, pick Sword and Board, you know, Sword and Shield, or pick the Samurai. And, you know, explore. Take it slow. You know, get your stuff, get leveled. Maybe read a little bit about like how to manage the early game so you can get some strength, so get yourself, you know, a good build so that you're not weak. And I think it's probably the most accessible game out there right now. Especially if you can get, you know, the summoning bell. Hey, we only need 40 more likes for 300 likes. If you've not hit like yet on the channel, or I'm sorry, on the video, do me a favor and do that. If you haven't hit subscribe yet, consider doing that as well. I'm a Safe for Work broadcaster. We do a talk show like this Monday through Friday. A heavy focus right now on Elden Ring, but we do variety gaming coverage. A lot of people treat me like video game radio. You can subscribe in confidence because, again, I'm not going to be sitting here swearing in the background of your day. We keep it clean here. Well, maybe not clean, that's not the right word. It's safe for work. Confessor Pride? Yeah, Confessor looks pretty cool. Not gonna lie, I haven't beaten the game, but it's already my favorite game of all time, like 50 hours in. Woof, that's a lot of hours. Lono, I watched as you mercilessly slaughtered Patches. I lost a cat whose name was Patches O'Hoolian to cancer, no joke. And for that reason, I'm out. Hey, that's an old joke. That reason I'm out, and for that reason I'm out. That's an old joke. What? That's a great callback. Good. That's a good one, Gimpsonator. That was very, very good. That is a heck of a callback. Imagine not starting Prisoner. Shut up. You don't gotta be Prisoner. Isn't Prisoner best for sword casting? It was Prisoner, right? Prisoner? Some say that Dark Souls series are harder than Fallen Order, and some say it's easier or as hard as Fallen Order. What do you say? You can make Fallen Order probably as hard if you take it all the way to the top difficulty. Out of the box on normal, no. Fallen Order is nowhere near as hard as a Dark Souls game. No. You take it all the way up to the hardest difficulty, yeah, it's going to feel like a Souls game. Every little enemy is going to kick the crap out of you. You'll get killed by the most basic enemy in Fallen Order if you up the difficulty all the way. Jedi Fallen Order was the catalyst to me even trying Sekiro, because I played Sekiro. I played Jedi Fallen Order, and then I immediately wanted to play a game like that. I replayed Jedi Fallen Order and increased the difficulty. Make sure to heal, because if you don't, you'll die. Yeah. Prisoner is Dex and Int and starts with a rapier and a staff with a good spell. Yeah, so if you want to run Swordcaster, then just do Prisoner. Except it's linear. That is true. Well, it's quasi-linear. It's mainly a linear game, but there is a sense of freedom in Jedi Fallen Order. If you want to divert from the main path, if you want to go back and play Completionists, it's got a Metroidvania feel to it. So it's linear with a Metroidvania influence of like going back to a place that you've already kind of beaten, but oh, I have this ability now. I want to get into that room. I want to unlock that thing. Jedi Fallen Order is a great, great game. It is very, very different than the combat in a Souls game, but you can make that game pretty punishing. You can set Ghost of Tsushima to lethal. You can set God of War to give me God of War, and those games will be unbelievably hard, you know, and in different ways. It's like, FromSoftware games, they have their own version of difficulty and challenge, but there are other games that you can conceivably make harder than a Dark Souls game. Like, give me God of War, go fight the Valkyries, and talk to me about, like, you know, nothing's as hard as a Dark Souls game. Well, then you haven't played Give Me God of War. You haven't played Tsushima on lethal. You know. Elden Ring is for sure the game for Soulsborne noodles to come on in. Yeah. Astrologer and Prisoner are very similar. You're way better off starting with Astrologer, says Sebastian. Anyone know where you get the summoning bell? I just started playing and I have not gotten far into the game. Don't you just rest at the church, don't you? You do it multiple times and then that Chica shows up, and doesn't she give it to you? You just keep talking to her? I think. I'm having a hard time remembering where I got it now. Good example of a hard difficulty game that isn't necessarily just an enhanced bullet sponge experience. Returnal. Returnal is a really, really hard game that is not bullet sponge. It's excellent. It's a really, really good game. It was my game of the year last year, and I don't like rogues. I think Returnal is a work of art. I put it up there with Hellblade. Hellblade's like one of my all-time favorite games. I think Hellblade is close to perfection, and I put Returnal up there close to Hellblade. I'm putting Elden Ring up there too, by the way. It's up there. It's up there in the tippity top. Top 3, top 5, easy. Did you just call me a noodle? You got to get the horse and then go back to the church. Yeah. You have to rest at the beginning church at nighttime to get the summon bell, says Distorted. There you go. You can always buy the bell from the round table. You can buy it from the round table? Huh. I didn't know that. That's interesting. If you're just tuning in, we're talking Elden Ring summoning. The poll did very well today, an hour in and almost 700 votes. Elden Ring summoning, do you use it or do you avoid it? We want to hear from you, so make sure and subscribe to the channel so you can talk in chat and let us know what you think. Let us know. We love to hear from the audience about how you approach the game. I certainly do not consider it cheating, but I actually understand why some people feel as though summoning kind of takes away from the victory, kind of takes away from, you know, what they've done, what they've worked on, what they've earned. Like, I actually get it. I do. I 100% get it. I don't think that that's true. I don't think it's basically cheating. I don't think it takes away from your victory. If you beat the game and heavily rely on summons the entire time, I don't have an ounce of issue with that. I've been using summoning quite a bit. I especially use summoning if a boss kind of annoys me. I'm like, oh yeah, you want to use that mechanic? Well then here, let's go. And that's kind of how I approach it. I do like to attempt the boss without it first. I do like to attempt the boss without it first, just to kind of see, you know, where I can land, and what I can do. And that is one of the things we've been doing, is we kind of go in, kind of feel the thing, you know, feel the fight out, and then potentially then summon if we feel like it's too frustrating, irritating, or whatever. Or because I'm just trying to have a good time. I'm not trying to get some proverbial trophy that's like out there in the ether. Like, well, if you beat the game and never summon, you're a true champion. Like, I'm not trying to win that trophy, right? I'm not trying to win that trophy. We need 17 more likes for 300 likes. Thank you, everybody, for clicking that like button. They did say more people would beat this game than the other Souls games. They did say that. Miyazaki said that this would be the game with the most completions. I avoid it, says Justification. I tried it once and all it did was mess with the boss AI, so I couldn't get a clear read on the boss anymore. Yeah, we talked about that earlier. I did say that. There are times where summoning has its pitfalls, where you literally feel like like, I don't know what this boss is going to do. I don't know what this boss is going to do. I go up to attack him and he turns around and hits me, right? He's wailing on the guy, the jellyman, right? And then all of a sudden he turns and hits you. Like, the bear was doing that to me. I was like down in a cave, doing a giveaway with a big content creator isn't what I was talking about, though. Okay. Just trying to reply to people who commented on that video from yesterday. If you guys aren't subscribed to Reforge Radio, we'll be going over there again today. It's our larger channel. We've turned it into a bit of a radio show where we talk about current events and cultural issues and things. And so today we'll be talking about Kanye's new video and did he go too far? If you're interested in subjects like that, make sure and subscribe to Reforge Radio. I tried it because I wanted to try everything, and it legit felt like it trivialized everything, so I've avoided it as much as I can. I mean, you were here yesterday in that fight, Wheezy. Like, that fight annoyed me. I summoned, and the whole fight changed, right? It was like, what the frick? Like, so I'm not going to say that it takes away from your victory, but for me personally, it kind of did. It was like, well, I didn't really suffer through that the way I suffered through Sekiro bosses or Dark Souls bosses. Today we'll be celebrating the killing of Pete Davidson. Hey, I like Pete Davidson. Well, the completion thing will be measurable. You can look at the first silver trophy player percentage and the main gold trophy player percentage for all PlayStation games. I'll be really interested to see that. Yeah, for sure. Sorceries and incantations. Am I doing a sorcery build or am I thinking about respecing to do incantations? Yeah, I don't know. Whatever you think is best, man. Whatever you think is gonna. I keep telling people, like, when it comes to Elden Ring summoning, or let's say it another way, when it comes to Elden Ring gameplay difficulty, are you wanting to just get through the game, or are you wanting to have a very, very challenging experience? Because some people are like, man, I just want to get through the game. Like, I don't care if every boss fight's grueling. I don't care if every boss fight is busting my teeth. I just want to get through the game, man. I'm going to use everything at my disposal. Jellyfish, got it. Get myself over-leveled by exploring, got it. Whatever the case may be. Are you supposed to suffer through a boss? Didn't they want to reduce that kind of frustration with summoning and other changes? Yo, what's good, Hex? Okay, so they didn't say that. They did say they wanted the game to be less stressful. They did communicate that. They wanted the game to be less stressful. And so there is an element of, if you die, you're closer to the boss. Like, they don't want you to die in a boss fight and feel that, like, that pain and that fear and that frustration of, I've got to go all the way back through that area and I might lose all my souls if I don't make it, And I think I appreciate that. I think that was unnecessary in the past games. It's like, you don't have to do that. You don't have to absolutely stretch the player to the breaking point by being like, hey, if you die, it's going to be absolute it's going to be hell to get back to your boss and your souls. So they didn't want that to be a pressure. Like, I'll give you another example. I think this is one of the greatest things they added. They added if you kill the mob in the open world, they'll replenish some of your healing flasks. I love that. I go hunt down the last guy, and I'm like, all right, where is he? And then I know the area is cleared, and then I can keep on going and not feel like, well, got to go back to a point of grace. I'll use some of my healing. Distorted says, Lono, have you seen that you will get banned for trying to play the other game on Steam Deck, and they aren't supporting it? and that meaning other companies might try and do the same. Uses the same PC applications like Steam. I don't think they're going to hold to that. I saw that headline, distorted. I don't think they're going to stick to that. I don't know how you could. You're going to ban people for playing your game on Steam Deck? That seems incredibly stupid. I just don't understand the crap talking regarding summons. If there are hardcore Souls players out there who are striving to get a build that is super strong and OP, and other videos about where to see people two-shotting a boss, how is using a summon to take down a boss any different? I don't see a lot of smack talk about summons, Sven. I think I anticipate it. I anticipate people getting very gatekeepy about it and being like, if you summon, you didn't really beat... You know what I'm saying? And who cares about those people? I like having discussions like this to just kind of see where everybody is on the issue and then obviously push against the ignorant gatekeeping, right? Like, look, bro, if you're enjoying Elden Ring and you're summoning, more power to you. Have a ball. If you're over leveling and you're killing bosses really quick, man, you go, bro. You have a ball. Just enjoy yourself. Earlier this week, a help article went live that contained information about this game on Steam Deck. We'd like to provide some additional information as to why doing this is not currently supported. Our goal is to maintain a secure environment. Oh, okay. Yeah, it's because of Linux. They're worried about not being able to prevent cheating. So, I guess I understand that. It's so funny how like the smallest amount of information and context can make something actually make sense. That didn't make any sense to me at all. Now it makes perfectly good sense. If it's running Linux, you can cheat real easy. It's not stupid to prevent Steam Deck for a game. Steam Deck and Linux based is because it enables a lot of hacking. Yep, there you go. See, chat? Do you see how information can change your perception on an issue and change your position? So, it's not stupid. It's probably a really smart move. If you're new and you're just tuning in and you're enjoying Elden Ring gameplay, we'll be getting into some here in a little while, but I want to know, how's your experience been? Are you doing Elden Ring summoning? Do you do it a lot? Do you do it a little? Do you do it not at all? We have a poll at the top of the chat asking you that question. Be sure to hit subscribe so you can talk in the chat and take the poll at the top of the chat. We're having a little bump in viewership, so folks are rolling in, probably curious what we're talking about. I don't think my position on summoning is it's in the game, it's totally legitimate to use, and it can take away from the feeling of satisfaction in a fight. It can. It's not going to do that for everybody. Some people are going to breathe a sigh of relief and be like, bro, I don't care how I won. I won. Other people may beat a boss. It's possible. You might beat a boss in Elden Ring and feel like, it took away. It totally took away from the feeling of satisfaction. I'm just here for the coffee. What's good, Zubair? Mostly I don't summon because I don't want to deal with PvP and mostly tryhards. Well, summoning like a jellyfish and stuff won't deal with PvP. You're not that's not what that does. Summoning a co-op player can bring invasions. Summoning a jellyfish or a pack of wolves? No, It requires Windows on a Steam Deck isn't as juicy as a headline. Yeah, so as long as you run Windows on Steam Deck, you're fine. You can play it. Yeah. Come on. They're banning you if you play on Steam Deck. No, they're not. They're banning you if you try to play the game in Linux. That's not an approved operating system. That's a different headline, isn't it? There's no real sense of satisfaction unless you beat the game as a level 1 wretch, no armor, no summons, toss the club in the trash, and beat the game with your fists. I have no problem with that summary, Lono. It is possible that it will take away from the satisfaction. It's not guaranteed. E.g., I could see your reaction after you beat Godric in 2 tries. Yeah, I didn't feel very good. You know? I didn't feel that satisfying. I was like, really? That was it? I beat Godric that fast? It was my second try? I wasn't even trying to beat him. But once I got him low, I was like, oh, we're going for it, bro. I knew my sword was doing good damage. So I was like, I'm going to go up here and chunk him a couple times. We're going to see if we can't get this done. And he almost killed me. He almost killed me. Second try, dude. Godric in the ground. Why? Because of summons. Now, keep in mind, there's a big difference between summoning an NPC and summoning the jellyfish. The NPC was the reason I got him on my second try, because she went in. She absolutely went in on him. I was like, oh my gosh, like, what where did you get all that damage from? The NPC summons over leveled. She has apparently close to 2200 HP. No excitement, no elation, no relief. Just disappointment, doused with shame. Hey, I wasn't doused in shame. I was just like, God, that was too easy. And I certainly didn't feel shame yesterday. I was like, screw this guy, screw you and your cheap attacks. I'll use something cheesy if you're going to use something cheesy. The enemies have cheesy attacks. They do. They launch themselves across the room and have all these weird AoE timed attacks. Bro, I'll summon a jellyfish every day of the week. I got no qualms. Summoning Jelly Boy. None at all. That's funny. 100% most of the bosses I would have never beaten without a summon or to grab the aggro for a few seconds to get in damage. Right now I need to upgrade him as he dies quickly. Yeah. I've been trying to upgrade. I've been upgrading my Skellyman and the jellyfish because depending on the boss, the Skellyman might be better. The Skellyman might be better than the jellyfish depending on how the boss behaves. Because the Skellyman will keep getting back up, but that jellyfish, that poison, that's good. It's real good. It is real good. Hey, we only sold one bag of coffee yesterday, and we haven't sold any yet today, so let me do a little coffee plug. Listen, this isn't a sponsor. We have a light and a dark roast. It's called Rageless Roast, and the reason people in chat will tell you how good it is a balanced acidity coffee, okay? So it's a medium-bodied, honey undertones, smooth finished, with balanced acidity. Same base flavor over here, it's just a darker roast. So it's a more full-bodied, bold-finished coffee. But the balanced acidity, it's so drinkable, so smooth. Some people that typically like to use creamer just don't because it's such a smooth coffee. So it supports my family. It's a small business kind of a thing. My wife and kiddos pack it up and ship it to you. So if you order it, it's greatly appreciated. That's another great way to support what we do here. What's up, Mama? Yeah. Oh, you like my shirt? Yeah, you like this color on me. Yeah, she always compliments the Ghost Rider shirt. The shirt's also a spot. Everything else is a sponsor. The disc plates, the shirt, and the glasses are all sponsors. So if you wanna use my code over at 80s Tees and get a dope shirt from Star Wars or Marvel or whatever, just use my code and you'll get 30% off. What does it smell like? It smells wonderful. I'm drinking the light roast right now. I'm like 100% light roast. My wife is still big on the holiday roast, which is gone. We were out. That was the last. Somebody snagged the 2 last bags yesterday. Cheesy Donut. I fixed my issues with the mail. Finally opened my box after nearly a year and waiting inside the first thing I see is my light roast bag. There you go. There you go, Cheesy. You got your coffee. Abe says, the dark roast is a life changer. I can't drink any other coffee now. Since I started drinking it, I have bought a brand new house, grown 3 inches, and got promoted at work. He put Lono lewd after that. My wife said 3 inches where, Abe? She went 3 inches where? And I said he literally put Lono lewd after he said it. So you are sponsored? Yeah, I've got another sponsor we're going to talk about next week. It's sitting over here. So once we're done with the microphone, I've got another one. Yeah. Oh, you like the little microphone? Yeah. Rename the show to Loney Pony Shillin' Chill. That sounds terrible. I think Reforge Gaming works really well. Technically, your wife sponsors you too with the food. Yeah. We're sponsored here by quesadillas and cut up apples. Your viewers need you to get a therapy service sponsorship so they'll introspect. I mean, I promote therapy. In 1 month, I'll have been going to therapy for 4 years in like a month. So I'm a huge advocate of mental health and therapy. We just had a session last night. So I don't have a therapy sponsor, though. Some of the online therapy resources I'm very skittish of. I'm a little skittish of them. I think there's probably some good ones out there, but I'd have to do a lot of research. I summoned wolves during the Sentinel boss fight. Didn't really need it in the beginning. It was weak. Yeah, the Sentinel boss, the Tree Sentinel, I'd like to beat him without a mount. I think it's... I know it's doable. I wish I would have, stuck to my guns and did it whenever I first tried it. You should have a segment called Reforge Microsoft into Sony. If you guys are just tuning in, Elden Ring summoning is the debate point today. Do you use it a lot, a little, or not at all? And the poll here has passed 700 votes. Most people saying that they do use it. 80% of the audience are using summoning. Now, the 80% that do it are split right down the middle. Some of you that use it very little. Some of you that use it, you use it a lot. So even the people that are using it are a bit split on how often they want to use it. And then 20% of you are like, no, not at all. And I get that. I totally get that why there seems to be a divide on it, because it is very, very, it's super disruptive, I think, to the game and how the game feels. And, is there a sense in which it kind of takes away from the fights? I think it can, depending on the player. I don't think every player is going to feel this sense of like, oh man, it really took away from the fight. I really wish I wouldn't have done that. I definitely felt that at Godric. I certainly wasn't going to rob myself of a second attempt clear, though. You know what I mean? There was a point where I knew I was like, I'm going to kill this son of a gun, and I wasn't going to rob myself of that clear and be like, well, I'm not going to kill him on principle. Like I wasn't going to do that. Bam canceled. You cheese Elden Ring bosses. Yeah. The spirits can be upgraded, which can make them OP. Also, the rot dog and the jellyfish have dot, so they can chunk bosses. Yeah, yep. I probably won't be using summons in major fights, says J-Cade. I bullied Godric, and it was laughable. Though if I run out of rune arcs, I just might. I think they need to nerf magic a little. It seems a bit too strong. I actually think magic's totally fine. You got to sacrifice quite a bit if you want to be a good mage. I swear I saw a video showing how to do it, and I just didn't need it. What are you guys talking about? I'm like level 60 something, but my build's all over the place, and I want to respec, but I don't know how. You can respec. There's an item you need for it, do you not? I noticed yesterday I come up into a fight between soldiers and dinos, and I was getting the runes after enemies were killed by each other. What? Enemies and dinos? Where are you on the map? Are you talking about Horizon Forbidden West? Or are you talking about Elden Ring? You're very close to the point where you can respec or be reborn. Keep pursuing the main bosses, says Arch Enigma. You need larval tears to respec. Can't wait for your reaction on a double boss. Not sure the name. One's a Crucible Knight. Experience... excessive profanity's been there for 3 days. He's been there for 3 days. Jiminy Christmas. You have to beat the one boss and use a certain item to respec. Okay, so it sounds like you gotta just keep going. I've seen all the enemies fighting and it was cool in the different areas. Yeah, they do. Oh, no, they look like dinos. It's near the dragon area. Oh, yeah. I've done that too. There was these wolves attacking a bear, and I was just letting the wolves get some good fights in. You know what I mean? One of my characters is a mage. He was my first. He is strong and can pack a wallop, and getting killed by 3 arrows isn't ideal. I do hate the range attacks in this game, man. When the enemy's using range, I get so tilted. I get so tilted, bro. I'm like, it's so annoying. They're like aimbots, bro. It's like, come on. I get very irritated at the range attacks because they don't freaking miss, man. It's super frustrating. Exactly. The one I asked you to see the wolves gave me chills. I'm over 40 hours in and I just learned Rune Arc is a thing. Thanks, chat. Yeah, I don't... What's Rune Arc? Rune Arcs are for great runes. They don't explain just how strong they are. Excessive is using a strict build. He's a Skarn mage, so he could beat it with a different weapon and armor quicker, but it's the character he's playing. Oh. Yeah, if you're on a bit of a gimped build, then you're going to have a hard time. Did you see the dragon? You can get 75,000 points, and you can just do it 2 more times if you bring friends. Yeah, I don't want to do that. We're hearing that the dragon might be important later, so it's a bad... It could be, potentially, it could be a bad idea to kill him. It could be. You might not want to do it. So, this is the stupidest thing I've heard you say lately, and you say a lot of stupid things. Cool. You can't follow me anymore. That's easy. You can think of rune arcs like embers. It enables the bonuses of the great runes. Do you remember how you felt when the mage guy kept summoning things? That's how bosses feel when you summon against them. That's why I summon. That's why I summon, because of that freaking mage guy spamming his attacks. Screw him, man. I'm legit angry at him. Like he and I are gonna have words. I'm gonna go back in there, and I'm gonna beef up in the right ways. I'm gonna go back in there. We are going to have words. I have a vendetta against him. That stinking guy. Her. What difference does it make, Wheezy? They're gonna be dead. Her and I are gonna have words, bro. That frickin' sword and that arrow. Good night. Good night. I will have my vengeance, bro. Gonna stick the jelly on him? You can't summon in that place. Yeah, you can't. I'd have summoned the Skellyman or the jelly, and I'd have been like, all right, let's go. You like using magic? You do? A reminder that you're not a true FromSoft fan if you use cheesing, spirit ashes, co-op summoning magic, fast travel swords, leveling up, armor, a controller, a television, electricity. Who said that? Who said that? Game Makers TK. Hang on. I gotta get that. Game Makers TK. Yeah, that we gotta get a retweet on that. That is wonderful. I co-sign this. I co-sign this. A TV, electricity, a television, and electricity. Yeah. Bro, you totally cheated. You had your TV on. You totally cheated. You know? Is real life a Souls-like? It's hard to put. It's hard AF, and it has permadeath. Yeah, real life is a Souls-esque game for sure. I'm curious. Some people think there needs to be a cap on damage output. I don't think I've seen anybody argue for that. I mean, we're talking summoning, and I don't think that the summoning is too strong. I don't. And the overpowered builds that you're seeing people use, like they get their character insanely strong and then they go kill Margit really quickly, or they go kill Godric really quickly. I don't think that's evidence that there needs to be like nerfs or anything. I don't think so. What we were discussing today is I have no issue with summoning. I was just posing the question. I wanted to hear from the audience and the community, like, okay, where do you land on this? Because I do think it has the potential to take away from a victory. It really robbed me at Godric to a certain extent. Now, it's a great story. It's a great part of my journey. I don't regret it, but I didn't feel the sense of, oh my gosh, what a triumph. It was my second try, and I was goofing around, and we killed Godric. Why? Because I was like, well, let's see how the summoning goes. And between the NPC and Jelly Boy and my recently upgraded sword, we just absolutely chunked him to ribbons. And if I would have played strategically, it would have been even easier. Like, if I would have known how the fight went, I could have kept the NPC alive a whole lot longer. I could have kept the jellyfish alive a whole lot longer. I'd have been more aggressive. They died at a point in the fight because I was just kind of sitting back. I was just kind of like watching what was happening. I was like, okay, this is pretty cool. And then I was like, oh my gosh, we might beat him. So I'm not against it. I just like to hear where people land on it. And the poll clearly shows that, like, 80% of the people that took the poll are using summoning. They are. Elden Ring summoning is not a problem for them. They're like, yeah, I use it, but it's split down the middle. Half of the people using it are using it a little, and half the people using it are using it a lot. And then 20% are like, no. And that 20%, I think that holds. I think there'll be about 10 to 20% of the people that play this game in the hardcore, really dedicated audience that's like, I don't want to use summoning. It feels like cheating. And honestly, I don't actually disagree with them. I don't think it is cheating. But if you're a highly skilled, highly experienced player and you kind of know how to navigate the game, it does kind of feel like cheating. Like when I beat Godric's second try, I was like, what the frick? It felt like I kind of put in a cheat code. I'm not saying that I did. I'm just saying experientially, it's like, well that was incredibly easy. What? Why? That's the kind of experience I really love, coming up against a new boss and winning the first time because I happen to have come prepared, even if by accident. Yeah, I guess that's true. I did. I really prepared for that fight. I had been really clearing the map and really leveling up, and I was strong. How's it cheating if it's a game feature? Well, but you're not interacting with what I said. I very clearly stated it is not cheating. But experientially, it kind of feels like I cheated. To go from a fight that was really hard, and I get my head caved in, and I'm like, well, let me summon this NPC, and let me use Jelly Boy. And then I beat him next try, and half of the fight, I wasn't even doing anything. I was just sitting back. Oh, it kind of felt like I cheated. I'm not saying that I did. I'm not taking away from it. I'm just saying, be warned. Be warned. It might kind of rob you of a sense of satisfaction. It might take away from your victory a teeny bit. I'm not saying that it would. Some people would have had the experience I had and like jumped for joy and been like, yes, second try. Oh my gosh. And they would have taken a great sense of accomplishment. You know what I mean? How is it cheating? The game gives you the tools to use. It's like, if you got the Claymore, yeah, it's strong, but it's a tool in the game. I really feel like you guys are just not listening. I'm not saying it's cheating. Third try. I'm going to try this the third time. Let's see if we can have some understanding. I'm not saying that it's cheating. I'm saying for some people, it will feel like you kind of cheated because it significantly reduces how much you have to do in the fight. So I'm saying experientially, it kind of felt like I cheated. I'm not saying that I did cheat. If you need to put this section on loop, feel free. I'm not saying it's a cheat. I'm not. It can sort of feel that way depending upon the player. Again, if somebody had my experience, they'd have been like, bro, that was dope. And they'd have told all their friends about it. They'd be like, oh my gosh, I beat Godric's second try. I tried the summon and I tried the jellyfish. It was crazy. It was nuts. Right? And I ended it and I was just kind of like, like I didn't feel like high-fiving anybody. I didn't feel like high-fiving anybody. I was like, oh, that was kind of, yeah. I beat Ishin a couple weeks ago. This was kind of nothing. I don't know why it's hard to understand the difference between a piece of gear you wield and a computer AI fighting for you. I think that's a good distinction, Eugene. Yes, I do think categorically there's a big difference between me making a weapon stronger that I have to wield well and an AI that takes 20 to 30% of the guy's health away as I sit back and take a sip of my coffee. There is a pretty big difference. Again, It's in the game. You're totally free to use it. But it may, for some players, take a feeling of satisfaction away. It may. I guess that cheating feeling has to do more with people who have experienced Souls games before, who's used to an increased difficulty, but in the game you can choose to lower it. Right. But Lono, how's it cheating? Sorry, I didn't hear the full argument. Had to mute you for a bit. Okay, Abe, it was just funny because somebody literally had just said what you said. They're like, how is it cheating? And I was like, I just responded to this. So I wasn't sure if you were memeing or not. I was like, I want to make sure we are crystal clear on this. Like, nobody's going to be clip sniping me and running to Reddit. Like, this guy says summoning is cheating in Elden Ring. Like, I hereby declare, as this is the FromSoftware fan manifesto, that all summons are cheating. If you upgrade your weapon, cheating. If you explore the map to get stronger before fighting a boss, cheating. If you use armor in the game, cheating. If you have your television turned on, cheating. Imori was 7 months of membership. Started hanging out here about a year ago, and I'm a huge fan of your content in the community here. Imori with a 7-month membership. If you guys want to support the channel with a membership like that, hit the join button, or you can type !join in the chat. $5 a month. It supports me directly. We don't run a lot of ads on this channel, and you can really help kind of make that up with membership. We could run ads very regularly, and I don't do that. I like to have a very good flowing show. I'm safe for work. It's like a radio show. Couple hours every morning we talk, and then sometimes we do a second talk show or gameplay. We do 2 streams a day on this channel, and you can keep things going and help support it with a membership like that. It's a choice, though. Either you spend that FP on summoning, or you use it to do spells and war skills. I actually think that's good pushback often. I actually like that as a pushback. Because if you're going to use a really, really strong Ashes of War, right? Let's say you get some Ashes of War for your sword, and it's crazy strong. So when you open up opportunities on the boss and you use that, that's going to use your FP. Well, you sacrifice that damage from that Ashes of War if you summon. And you could say, well, if you summon and use all your FP and then you drink your flask and immediately get it all back. Yeah, and that's another currency in the fight that you're spending to earn the damage that NPC does. Do you see? Or no, I'm sorry, not the NPC, like the summoned like jellyfish. Like you're earning that damage in an indirect way. You could earn it manually yourself, or you could I'm going to summon a jellyfish. It's going to help with aggro split, and it's going to do some damage for me. And I'm going to lose FP, which could feed my weapon, my Ash of War. I think that's actually a good pushback to say, listen, this is a completely legitimate way to balance the in-game currency and the in-game power to beat an enemy. Remember, summoning NPCs has been a staple, and you have to quest to unlock them in each boss. The difference is the Spirit Summon allows you to do it pretty much anywhere at any time along with quest NPCs and bosses. You got to remember that's true, but not really. It's not always summonable. Believe me, I wanted to summon against that stupid wizard. I wanted to. She was annoying the frick out of me, right? And I couldn't do it. And I couldn't summon against the bear that was down in the water and the wolves were attacking him. I couldn't summon there either, but I could summon in the one cave. So it's a little random. It is a little random. Like there are times where it's like, no, you can't summon right now. And it's like, well why not? I don't understand. What's the problem here? You know? That's definitely, I think that's definitely a slight pushback on what you're saying, Eugene, is like, you can't literally do it everywhere. And every boss doesn't have an NPC summons, right? Every boss doesn't have the NPC summons. So you could certainly say you can't compound this and stack this every single time. If you could, then I actually think what you're saying would be, I think, a stronger criticism. If like every single boss, you're calling in like a miniature army to take care of things for you, well then sure. We could have a conversation about that and be like, well, this seems to be really diluting the fights and really taking away from the game's difficulty. If it's a boss area outside of a select few, you can Spirit Ashes. It's weird to hear PC people say that. I have to say that the aggro that the summons take from the bosses may help in some situations for you to get into some heavy hits for, quote, free. True. And also, when they draw aggro, it can jack things up. It can. 100%. A couple of times I was like, I don't know if summoning is helping me, because it was jacking up the aggro, and I was going in to get hits, and I was getting obliterated because the boss is like attacking the jellyfish and then like quickly turns and hits me. You know, when it's just you toe to toe, you can kind of anticipate what they're going to do in a greater way. And that's a lot more difficult when you summon. When you summon, you're taking the risk. You're taking the risk of dealing with inconsistent like AI, aggro, and attack patterns. It becomes a little unpredictable. It becomes a little wild. Someone's always help. Please stop this nonsense. No, they don't. They don't always help. They can actually create a sense of chaos and inconsistency in the fight. They 100% can. Sometimes they do more harm than good. That is I think that's true. I think that's a true statement to make. It's weird how it's different as a mage. It seems like the boss thinks of casters as a lesser threat. Maybe when you're playing that way, they do that on purpose to give you. Maybe they're trying to give you a shot. Maybe they're trying to give you a shot, bro. Like, they know it's going to be tough if not, you know? So, all right. I am going to quickly run upstairs and use the restroom. If you haven't hit subscribe yet, please do so. Make sure you come back every day and enjoy the show. Support the talk show. I'm safe for work. A lot of people treat me like video game radio. Smash the like button. If there's about 60 of you that haven't hit the like button yet, we might be able to get 400 likes on the video. That'd be super helpful. Don't forget the commands that run down in the corner. Those are the ways to support the channel directly. And I'm going to run ads when I step away. And I hardly ever do this. That's a great reason to support directly with a membership or a tip, because we hardly ever run ads, okay? I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. More Elden Ring and Elden Ring gameplay coming up. Oh, man. Thank you guys so much for supporting the stream, sticking around, being awesome. We greatly appreciate it. We have been really, really enjoying the support for the Elden Ring coverage and the Elden Ring streams. What I want to work on today, if you guys want to help me with this, we want to go to Lernia of the Lakes, and we want to we want to work our way to Renala. but I would like to work on some magic defense, and I'm not sure how to do it. I don't want to remove or mess with my Ashes of War on my shield, but if you guys want to assist me with that, with like tips of where to go and what to do. I've never really invested in specific forms of defense in these games before. It's just not something that I do. So let me retweet that. Okay. Someone said, honestly, the scariest thing in Elden Ring are the sword feet birds. I think I might agree with that. Elden Ring gameplay. Lernia exploring. That's what we're going to be doing. I'm going to get my tweet sent out, and then we'll go over. Let's see here. Elden Ring. The Warhawk summon is hype. Working toward the next boss in Elden Ring. Come hang. Okay. Tweets are sent. Do that. Okay. Let's close the poll. Okay, I'm going to put a link in chat just in case redirect doesn't work. Yeah, that's good. That's a good thumb creature. I'm going to do an announcement in the Discord as well. Found a glintstone key? I don't know. That's where we're headed. Do that. Hey, thanks for clicking on the video. Continuing our Elden Ring gameplay, we're going to be heading to Lernia of the Lakes and exploring and potentially working toward the next boss fight. I am going to need a little assistance. We want to work on magic defense. The last play session realized I had virtually no defense against magic, and it was pretty frustrating. We just ended the last play session beating a guy down here in this underworld area. It was pretty fun, and it's a pretty cool area. It's pretty dope. And so I'm going to bring people over from this morning's stream with the redirect.